Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about 10 most anticipated horror games of 2026. From survival nightmares to psychological terror, this year's lineup is stacked with amazing games. The ranking is based on the hype around the game, the atmospheric vibes to it, and what I personally cannot wait to play myself. At number 10 we have The Florist. As someone who loves florals and beautiful aesthetics, The Florist really stood out to me. And not just because of its beautiful aesthetics, but because it's also a horror game. There is really something deeply unsettling when someone takes something so delicate, so nurturing and beautiful and turning into a source of fear. This game gets that contrast perfectly. The Florist drops you into a quiet lakeside town that's been overtaken by aggressive, unnatural plant life. You play as Jessica Park, a florist who arrives for what should be a simple delivery, only to find herself trapped in a nightmare when nature itself has turned hostile. What stands out most is how visually striking the game is. Vibrant flowers, lush overgrowth, and environments that feel alive in the most uncomfortable way possible. The heavy use of florals instantly reminded me of Silent Hill F, especially how horror and beauty are intertwined together. Instead of solely relying on darkness and decay, the floral uses color, growth, and organic shapes to build tension. It's that kind of horror where you take a moment to stop and admire the scene, and then right after immediately feel uneasy because something or someone is watching you. That blend of elegance and dread is exactly what makes The Florist so interesting in my opinion. Number 9. Hellmart. Hellmart is one of those games that sneak up on you. On the surface, it's literally just you working night shift and helping customers restock the shelves and all of those little things. So it seems to be a quiet and cozy kind of game, right? Quiet town, snowy woods, barely anyone around. But once evening hits, that's when things start to feel off. You're suddenly worrying about generators, barricading doors, watching security cameras, and deciding how to spend your money just to survive the night. When nighttime fully sets in, that's when Hellmart really shines. The game messes with your head. Customers show up late and you're forced to decide who to trust because the evil stalking this place can mimic anyone. One wrong decision, one moment of hesitation, and that routine shift turns into a nightmare fast. What I really loved is how personal it feels. No two shifts feel exactly the same. The snow is setting, the isolation, the flickering lights, it all adds to this constant sense of unease, like something is watching you even when nothing's happening. Hellmart takes something super mundane and twists it into psychological horror, and honestly, that's what makes it so effective. If you like slow burn indie horror that messes with your choices and your nerves, this is one absolutely worth locking in. Number 8. Reanimal. Reanimal is one of the most intriguing horror adventures on my radar for 2026, and after playing the demo, I can confidently say it lives up to the hype. Developed by Tarsia Studios, the same folks behind Little Nightmares, this game is shaping up to be a chilling yet emotionally grounded experience that blends atmospheric tension with clever co-op gameplay. This game is set to release on February 13th, 2026 for PC, PS5, Xbox Series, and Nintendo Switch 2. Reanimal casts you as two orphaned siblings navigating a dark, unforgiving world in search of their missing friends. The whole game is about cooperation and trust, whether you're playing solo with an AI companion or with a friend in co-op. Visually and thematically, Reanimal carries that eerie storybook-line horror tone fans loved in Little Nightmares, but it feels more visceral and unsettling. The environments are oppressive, the creatures are grotesque, and the sense of dread builds naturally as you explore places like the abandoned mill and train yard. Whoever played the demo knows that the game struck a great balance between puzzle solving, exploration, and tension. Moments where you and your partner have to split up or work together under pressure kept me genuinely on edge, and the atmospheric sound design and lighting really sold that feeling of being small in a hostile world. If you're into horror that isn't just jump scares but builds nightmare fuel through mood and mystery, and especially if you like co-op experiences with real emotional beats, Reanimal is absolutely one to watch in 2026. Number 7. Shift at Midnight. Shift at Midnight is one of the most intriguing indie horror experiences I've played so far, and it kind of carries a theme with the Hellmart because it's also happening at the convenience store. The same as Hellmart, turns a seemingly mundane job working the graveyard shift at a rural 90s gas station into a nerve-shredding survival nightmare where every customer might be something inhuman. The core gameplay loop immediately hooks you. You're checking IDs, asking a limited number of questions, watching body language, cross-referencing computer records, and trying not to let a doppelganger slip through. One wrong decision can escalate everything into chaos in an instant, forcing you to be resourceful by boarding up doors, lay traps, and hide for your life. What really sets Shift at Midnight apart is how it blends detective-style tension with horror survival mechanics, and the pressure of limited information means every choice feels high stakes. The full game is scheduled to launch in Q2 2026 on Steam, and it expands on the demo with online co-op for up to 3 players, procedural shifts, more tools, traps, and threats. If you love co-op horror that rewards observation, communication, and quick thinking, basically the thing that meets the Papers, Please with survival horror twists, Shift at Midnight should definitely be on your wishlist for 2026. Number 6. Subnautica 2. Now, I have not played the first one, which is still on my queue to play. Subnautica is one of the most exciting survival adventures on the horizon for 2026, especially if you're drawn to vast, mysterious worlds like I am. Set to launch into early access in 2026, Subnautica picks up the franchise's signature open water survival formula and expands it in some really cool ways. You'll explore an entirely new alien ocean world teeming with strange biomes, unique creatures, and environmental hazards that make every dive feel like a blend of wonder and tension. One of the biggest changes this time around is the addition of up to 4-player co-op multiplayer, a first for the series. Whether you want to explore with friends, share the thrill of discovery, or split up to cover more ground, this co-op feature opens the door to shared survival stories alongside solo exploration. The game retains the core loop that made the original so compelling, scavenging resources, building bases and submersibles, and managing oxygen and equipment, but with deeper systems and a bigger world to uncover. There are new tools, vehicles, customizable bases, and an ocean that feels alive and unpredictable. While it's still early in development and headed into early access first, the promise of beautiful, haunting underwater landscapes and the freedom to explore at your own pace makes Subnautica 2 one of my top picks for next year, especially if you love games that mix survival, exploration, and mystery in an unforgettable setting. Number 5. Carnival Hunt is an upcoming asymmetric horror multiplayer game that's quickly become one of the most anticipated titles for 2026. And after playing the demo, I'm genuinely intrigued by how it reinvents the hide-and-seek horror formula. If you're a fan of games like Dead by Daylight, this one should immediately catch your attention. In Carnival Hunt, one player becomes the carnival monster, stalking the map from a first-person perspective, while up to 4 others play as wind-up bunnies trying to survive by cooperating, staying quiet, and avoiding capture. Every action you take, especially winding each other up to stay alive, creates noise that can give away your position, adding that same tension of predator versus prey that makes asymmetrical horror so compelling. What sets this apart is the clever twist on the survival mechanics. Bunnies don't just run, they have to work together to charge their wind-up keys, share keys to keep each other going, and even playing dead to hide among fallen teammates. Meanwhile, the carnival monster uses unique abilities to hunt, check hiding spots, and strategically outplay its prey. The demo that I played gave me a real taste of how every match can feel unpredictable, like a blend of strategy, stealth, and pure horror. The first-person viewpoint levels the playing field, so neither side has perfect awareness, which makes every encounter feel tense and unpredictable. Scheduled for release in 2026, Carnival Hunt brings online co-op and PvP, positional voice chat, and replayable asymmetric matches that thrive on teamwork and mind games. If you love horror that thrills through tension and play interaction, especially games where teamwork and deception matter just as much as survival, Carnival Hunt is one to keep on your wish list for next year. Number 4. Halloween. Halloween is set to release on September 8th, 2026, and it's shaping up to be one of the most exciting horror games of next year, especially for fans of classic slashers and asymmetrical horror. Based on John Carpenter's iconic Halloween franchise, this game puts you right into the chilling streets of Haddonfield, where evil doesn't just lurk, it hunts. Halloween lets you step into the mask of Michael Myers as the boogeyman himself, stalking innocent townsfolk in a tense first-person horror sandbox. Or if you'd rather fight back, you can play as one of the heroes of Haddonfield, scavenging for weapons, warning NPCs, and trying to survive the night, even calling the police to help stop Myers. What makes this one stand out is the blend of single-player narrative moments and dynamic asymmetrical multiplayer, where any match can turn into a terrifying cat-and-mouse ordeal. You'll see the quiet suburban life interrupted by terror, and whether you're slipping through shadows as a civilian or becoming the unstoppable shape, the tension is always cranked up. Visually and thematically, the game leans into the 1970s horror vibes with haunting atmosphere, haunting audio, and living Haddonfield that feels like its own character in the story. This isn't just about jump scares, it's about survival horror in the purest slasher form. If you're a fan of games like Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th and love horror that blends stealth, strategy, and high-stakes tension, plus you're into iconic horror villains, Halloween is absolutely one to add to your wishlist for 2026. At number 3, I have Directive 1820. Directive 1820 is one of the most ambitious and terrifying horror experiences coming in 2026, and it's carving out a fresh lane in narrative survival horror. Developed by Supermassive Games, the team that brought amazing games like Until Dawn, The Quarry, and the Dark Pictures anthology, this title pushes the climatic storytelling even further into deep space with an alien-infested nightmare that's part alien, part The Thing, and all suspenseful terror. Set aboard the colony ship Cassiopeia, humanity's last hope crashes on the distant world of Tau Ceti F. And again, I am so sorry if I'm butchering these names. From the moment the crew awakens, things go horribly wrong. A shape-shifting alien organism stalks the corridor, capable of mimicking the crew itself, twisting trust into paranoia and fear. Every decision you make can dramatically alter relationships, lead to character death, or change the fate of humanity itself. Visually and mechanically, the game is built in Unreal Engine 5, delivering cinematic presentation and impressive sound design that amplifies isolation and dread in the void of space. You'll control multiple crew members, each with their own arc and fate, and your choices matter more than ever, shaping who survives and how the story unfolds. There's also co-op play, letting up to 5 players experience the story together online, or you can stick to solo play if you want to absorb every horror beat on your own. If you're into psychological tension, narrative branching sci-fi horror that feels alive, and being hunted by an enemy that could be anyone and anything, then Directive 1820 deserves its place as one of the most anticipated horror adventures of 2026. At number 2, we have Ontos. Ontos is shaping out to be one of the most intriguing and philosophically unsettling games of 2026. This game was developed by Frictional Games, a team behind incredible games such as Soma and Amnesia. The sci-fi mystery thriller pushes the boundaries of horror beyond simple jump scares into something more cerebral and emotionally gripping. Thus, you play as Aditi Amani, a resourceful engineer drawn to the eerie lunar outpost Samsara by a cryptic message from your estranged father. Samsara isn't just a moon base, it's a repurposed hotel built atop forgotten ruins, full of winding corridors, strange machinery, and secrets that blur the line between science and the surreal. At its core, Ontos blends exploration, immersive narrative, and tactile problem solving. You'll scavenge materials, manipulate intricate machines, and engage with analog systems that demand patience, observations, and ingenuity. There isn't just one solution to most challenges. Your choices matter and echo forward, shaping how the story unfolds. What sets this apart from traditional horror games is its approach to tension. The creative director has said Ontos isn't about being chased by monsters at every turn. It's about psychological unease, existential dread, and confronting unsettling truths about reality and identity. You'll encounter disturbing experiments and morally complex scenarios that make you question not just what's happening, but why it's happening. Visually and thematically, the Moon Hotel Samsara feels alive in its own strange way, a labyrinth where every empty hallway, abandoned lab, and echoing chamber tells a story waiting to be uncovered. From lavish casino-like spaces to stark, lunar caves, the world design is gripping and surreal, perfect for players who love atmospheric horror with depth. Scheduled for release on PS5, Xbox, and PC, Ontas promises a deeply immersive, thought-provoking experience that horror fans, especially those who appreciated the game like Soma, will not want to miss. We finally made our way to number 1, Resident Evil Requiem. This is the game that I've been most hyped for to be released in 2026, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me. This is the 9th mainline installment in Capcom's legendary Resident Evil survival horror series, and it's shaping up to be one of the most immersive entries yet. Requiem marks a big moment for the franchise's 13th anniversary, bringing players back into the nightmare-infested world that made Resident Evil a horror staple. In this chapter, you follow FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft as she turns to devastated Raccoon City and investigates eerie deaths tied to her past, including mysteries around her mother. Alongside her, veteran survival horror hero Leon S. Kennedy makes a much-anticipated return, giving the story a strong, dual protagonist pulse that blends intense action with pure horror. What's exciting about Requiem, beyond its reputation and legacy of course, is how it promises to balance the classical survival horror tension fans love with modern design. You'll manage limited resources, solve environmental puzzles, and face relentless enemies in claustrophobic and haunting settings. If you were one of the lucky ones who tried out the demo, and if you've seen some trailers, the early impressions already hint at that psychological dread and atmospheric fear the series is known for, but dialed even higher thanks to next-gen graphical fidelity powered by Capcom's re-engine. The game also pushes the series forward with features like perspective switching between first and third person, letting you zoom in and out or pull back for broader awareness, and its narrative depth seems positioned to both satisfy longtime fans and welcome new players alike. Whether you grew up with Resident Evil or are just diving into the series now, Requiem is shaping up to deliver a terrifying cinematic adventure that honors its roots while embracing what makes horror games feel alive in 2026. And that concludes a list of my 10 most anticipated horror games of 2026. Now, are there any games that you are hyped for? Or are there any games that you think I missed that should have made it to the list? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you like this dive into the most anticipated games of 2026, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.